what springs to mind as your favorite games?
Hello, my fellow reprobates. Let's see. The question: what are your top few favorite games? So this one is a single question, but honestly, I'm gonna make it different videos because I wanna focus on each one properly. So this would be what are my few top favorite games, part one. The one I'm going to start with, actually, it's kind of funny because I intended to start with this one, and in a very recent video on his channel, Grim actually mentioned it in his video about the Valerian comic book, Valerian and Laurelin, and it is Machinations of a Space Princess. For the longest time, I would call it Machinations, but the author of the book keeps saying Machinations, so okay, fine. Now, one thing I want to clarify: I am not picking a Grim Jim game as one of my top games because I'm on his channel. I'm on his channel because Grim Jim made Machinations of a Space Princess. This is the game that made me reach out to him, follow what he was doing, and like talk to him, all that. This is a really cool OSR sci-fantasy role-playing game. It's meant to be in the style of Heavy Metal Magazine or Metal Hurlant. So if you've seen any of the two heavy metal animated movies, you have an idea of what the style is. And again, just so you don't think that I'm picking this to be on Grim's channel, I'm also going to mention like a few things that I think, a few critiques, gentle critiques of the game. But honestly, this is a really, really cool game. Now, one thing, when it came out, and this is what 2013? Let's see. I don't understand it didn't become more popular. This is a really awesome game. But, let's see. When did it come out? I think it came out around 2013 or something. Yeah, 2013. Okay. One reason why I think maybe this game didn't become like more use, because Jim made it so people can use this game to make their own supplements. They don't even need to ask permission. So how come there's not a lot of supplements the same way that it happened with White Star, for example, another OSR sci-fi RPG game? Well, I think there's a few things. Where White Star imitates Star Wars and Star Trek, Machinations of a Space Princess imitates a more, I would say, even though Star Wars is certainly an influence, but I would say overall more European type of sci-fantasy, where you take off the gloves a bit more. There's a bit of humor in there as well, which can be misinterpreted by some North Americans to begin with, and also they don't necessarily know how to approach it. Now, one little critique it's not a criticism for me, but I'm just addressing something that some people said when it came out, is that for an OSR game, it was too crunchy. Now, it's not crunchy in gameplay, but just in character build, because you have skill points. That's it. Which I think is a bit of a silly criticism, because to be honest, like let's say you pick like the killer, which is the equivalent of the fighter, or the the equivalent of the rogue, the expert. Choosing those skill points is still going to be faster than. I mean, it's going to be pretty fast. It's not going to take that long, So just the fact that it had skill points back then was because people were so like in 2013 OSR was like basically like had to be bare bones. Now I think the definition of OSR has widened, and I think if this game were revisited by people, they would really appreciate it. You can do a lot with it. You can do basically any sort of sci-fi. It gives you everything. You have like rules for creating aliens. You have rules for creating your own weapons and armor, which is so cool. It is so fun to build stuff with this system. Like in this game, you have everything you need. You can do a whole campaign with this. like the customization is amazing, both in character and in equipment and all that. And it has this like tongue-in-cheek style, and like it's just cool. I have the black and white book, but they also sell it in color. I just went with the cheaper version back when I bought it, and it's just fun to build characters with this. It really is, and it's not complicated. And now it just has everything you need. And what I really like as well is the saving throws are based on ability scores, which is also my go-to preferred thing to do with D20 based games. Um, and like this book is it's not a lazy book. What I mean by that is, it's not bare bones. It's not like every single page at the bottom has like um, adventure seeds. And me, I'm the type of guy, I don't really use adventure seeds, to be honest, because I have. I'm not gonna be humble at all here, but I have a lot of imagination. I don't have trouble coming up with ideas. However, I like reading them because it does put me in that mood, right? It puts me in the mood, and for someone who might be unsure how to approach that type of sci fantasy, like over the top, gritty, a bit raunchy at times, like um, it also I think gives them a good notion of it. Um, and it has a lot of things that are just little rules that make it kind of like funny. For example, you never keep any of the money that you make. You lose it all, and so you have to spend it because you're gonna lose it anyway. And that's kind of like a fun rule. And if you want to have money in between adventures, you have to actually put skill points in being able to invest, which is funny. Um, there's a lot of little details like that are fun. This game. You roll for armor, so there's rules to make it more like the classical type of OSR game, but it differentiates between the armor classes and harder to get hit and damage reduction. So like in Dune, those shields, like or just stuff like that. So like it makes it interesting because it kind of balances out range attacks, close attacks, what kind of weapons you have, and again, just fun stuff. Although it has a lot of rules to make it more similar to other OSR games, it's actually fun to roll the armor. It's actually fun. I have run this game online, although it's not a pure Machinations of Space Princess game. It was for in my channel of Chronicles of Crimson Hound. I ran a game for Grim Jim and Clint Rossi, which was Shadows of Blumengrad, the Gargoyle Pass. Uh, Jim, don't be lazy. Put the link in the description, please. So if you want to see this game and play, just a little caveat: the setting is not space fantasy. It was like a supernatural cyberpunk setting. So just a little caveat that it's not a representation necessarily of what this game feels like in mood, but it's certainly like in play. This is the game, and it flows really well. The mix of ability scores with the little factors of rolling for armor is kind of like a little detail that's fun. It makes it a bit different, and it fits with the setting and the world. And this is calculated by Jim because Jim is someone who likes to create rules with purpose to fit a theme and a mood. So it really works. Like the rules that he put in, the things he changed from the OSR structure are for with purpose. Now, a few nitpicks. I find that the saving throws for this kind of over the top setting, the saving throws are harsh. It's not a flaw if you consider it as an OSR game, but as a sci-fi space fantasy Star Wars Metal Hurlant influence game where like heroes do over the top things, those saving throws are really harsh. You can increase them with skill points, but like some classes don't have a lot of skill points, like the fighter class, which ironically is the one you expect to jump chasms and do crazy stuff like that. You know, so or resist things. So the ability scores, the saving throws, I like that they're based on ability scores, but I do find them harsh for the type of setting. This is very easily resolved. Just like you can basically grab any other OSR's saving throw system, and you can still keep the rule here that you can put skill points to make the saving throws better. Because the thing is that the saving throws don't get better unless you put skill points in them. That's where it gets a bit harsh. And not a flaw per se is an OSR game, but I find for a setting. So, but you can easily tweak that if you're familiar with OSR games. You can just insert another saving throw system and keep the skill points you can put to make them better if you'd like. So you don't have to change much. And then another nitpick is that even though you have rules to make lots of different alien races, they're not, all the traits are not balanced. And what I mean by that is not like something subjective, like, oh, there's a lot of cool ones, like, like you're amorphous or something, you're a blob, so you can go like in between small spaces, like bloop, like a blob, that's cool. And that's how do you, so people might argue, how is that compared to a +1 in an attack, and okay, so people can argue these types of, is that balance against each other? But that's not what I mean. I mean literally, and this is something I do find weird, literally you have like one racial advantage that's like +1 in close combat, but another one's going to be like +1 in all attacks, for example, or something like that. So clearly what you can do is simply like take the better one first, and then you can use the other one to make it, the other aspect, even better. But you really have to pay attention to make sure you don't take something that there was a better version of it available, because that would suck. Although there's also a table, so you can also just roll randomly your, if you're going to play an alien instead of a human, just your alien traits you roll randomly and go whatever you get, and then chance decides, right? This is actually a really fun way to play the game. It's not the default way, but I created some characters years ago with some friends. We never got to play the game, but the characters they rolled were really fun. You just got like random alien traits, and they put it together in the story, and it was really cool. Now, a final note. I'm not going to dwell on this very much, but the person who made the art, Satine Phoenix, has become controversial in the past few years. Now, I do realize that Genesis Bar is also controversial, but if you're watching his channel, I'm pretty sure you haven't, you haven't canceled him over what's mostly lies about him. But in the case of Satine Phoenix, I leave it up to you to look it up if you're interested in all that. But I just wanted to say that if you're someone who's bothered by her for whatever reason, to my knowledge, she doesn't get money from this. It was a one-time payment. Jim, if I'm wrong, interrupt here, do a voiceover or a cutaway to you or something if you'd like.
If it really concerns you, no, Satine doesn't get any more money from it. It was a flat fee at the time, and it was one of the first things Satine did in the role-playing industry after getting out of the adult industry. She was a friend. She still is a friend. I don't think what went on is quite what the public message is, but when is it ever? And certainly people have been gunning for her and trying to take her down since the days of G+ and D&D with porn stars and so on, largely due to her association with Zach. But no, if it's the sort of thing that worries you, she doesn't get any money.
Okay, anyway. So again, I'm not getting involved in the controversy, but if this is something that, whatever opinion you have on this person, she's not getting cuts from the as far as I know, from when this game is sold, so it should be a non-factor. I will say that that's another nitpick I have, is that while the art is is good, it's good art, it fits the sci fantasy style. It's certainly very specific of sci fantasy, which, yes, it reminds me a little bit of some European comics, but from the description of the game, I would have expected maybe more of a more direct, like either Moebius or Simon Bisley, which I realize are not the same styles at all, but I just have, when I hear like metal or heavy metal style, I have different like Incal, Moebius or something in mind, or I have maybe different things in mind than a cutesy art, which is not a flaw. And the cover is cool, but inside it, sometimes there's art that is more cutesy than anything else, or it's not necessarily what I imagined, but other art is quite evocative actually, and does fit. Like, for example, like this one, for example, looking at the cybernetic implants and stuff like that. as if what am I going to wear today? That's very fitting. There's this gunslinger. Like, these are cool. But again, maybe they look a bit more cutesy than what I expected, but it's not a flaw in itself. It's just my own expectation. And again, I have the black and white version, but there's the. Actually, as I say this, I find a lot of it actually fits very well, but I'm not gonna look for it per se. But there's places where it's more like, it doesn't necessarily always. In some places, it really hits the note as to what I would expect from this type of book. In other places, less so. But that's a nitpick, and it doesn't come up in play at all. So yeah, that's part one of the top games I recommend, and we'll be back soon for part two, which is another D20 game as well. But not all of them will be D20. There's actually going to be many parts. That's why I'm splitting this into many videos, because this question has there's games I want to talk about. Okay, everyone, goodbye.